Influencer culture is at an all-time high, from athletic wear to cleaning products. But what about when it comes to a good cause, like wildlife conservation? Does having a footballer post about saving the black rhino, actually do anything? On this episode of the Oxford Sparks Big Questions podcast, we're going to be talking about the internet, celebrities, and animals, and asking, can celebrities save the pangolin? Hello, I'm Emily Elias, and this is the show where we seek out the brightest minds at the University of Oxford and we ask them the big questions. And for this one, we have reached a researcher that is digging deep into her social media feeds.
My name is Alegria Olmedo. I'm currently a researcher at the University of Oxford in the Department of Zoology.
What is a pangolin? Am I even saying that correctly?
Yeah, pangolin. Yeah. So pangolins are the world's only mammal that is completely covered in scales. They are anteaters, so they have no teeth and a really long, sticky tongue because they eat ants and termites.
What made you fall in love with this animal? Because to me, they kind of look scary.
A little bit. They almost look like a T-Rex, I think sometimes. They definitely look to me like something from prehistoric times. But I was first working in Vietnam about 7 years ago, and I'd never heard of them. I'd never seen a picture or anything. And in Vietnam, I came across them more like reading news articles, and I was working in conservation at the time, so they came up. And already at that point, they were already threatened, especially the species that are native to Vietnam. And they were already pretty high rates of consumption and of trade for their meat and scales particularly. And it just seemed crazy to me that they weren't getting, as much attention as the cool charismatic species like tigers and elephants and rhinos, when it seemed like they were just as threatened as the others.
Alegria, or Ali for short, says that when she was there, it wasn't like you'd go into a restaurant and pick up a menu and you'd see the daily pangolin special. It was way more on the down low.
So I never saw them being advertised or people consuming them. I have seen scales in traditional medicine shops, and they're labeled as, just as pangolin scales, but they're not sold as openly because they're illegal. So it's not as open. And recently, there's been a lot of efforts by conservation NGOs with different campaigns and different awareness-raising messages about the illegality of this, and then linking the consumption of pangolins to their extinction in the wild. So because there's been so much attention, it's kind of pushed it up even more underground than it already was.
And with all of these campaigns to try and save them, there was one campaign that particularly caught her eye. And because of the power of podcasting, I will describe it to you. You have 3 CGI'd pangolins that are learning self-defense from none other than martial arts master and actor Jackie Chan.
Up to now, pangolin only defense from poachers was to roll up into a ball. But now all species are protected by law.
This ad is wild for a lot of reasons. First off, it's employed the visual artists from the film Life of Pi. You know, the one with the tiger and the boat? Yeah. And also, it's in English, not Vietnamese or Mandarin or a local language. And Ali says there aren't many native English speakers that are in the market for pangolin meat.
What's crazy about a lot of these campaigns that I've seen is that they're in English. So, local people still have to read the subtitles, and it just doesn't seem to make sense that you would have an advertisement or a public service announcement in a different language from where you're implementing it.
And this Jackie Chan ad, it isn't the only one. There are similar conservation projects in Asia that feature people like David Beckham and Prince William. And so Ali thought to herself, okay, I want to try and evaluate this and see how effective these celebrity endorsements actually are. So she got cozy with her computer and rounded up a team of readers, and they all began the task of a literary review?
Oh my God, it was so difficult to go through all of the different articles because how these review works is that they have to be done systematically. So if anybody wanted to redo them, they could. So first of all, we had to keep track of absolutely everything we were doing. So we came up with a search in English of the things that we wanted to find. Then we had to translate that to the 5 other languages. And then everybody had to start searching in the same platforms at around the same time. But of course, like some of the databases had a character limit. So then we had to figure out how to divide them. And then of course, like when you first search for something, for example, in Google Scholar, you get thousands and thousands and thousands of articles. So we had to develop a strategy where first everybody just screened the title of every article, and because there was the word celebrity and famous people and superstars in our searches, just to get as much as possible, there were some things that were completely random. So just by reading the title, you could say like, no, this is not going to fit our criteria. But still, like, reading 8,000 titles is just horrible and so boring. And then once you get the title, say that you chose to include even 3,000 titles, then you have to read the abstract of every single one of them. And still, reading thousands of abstracts, it's brutal. And in English, we only ended up reviewing a little bit over 100, I think. And in Spanish, there were very few, so we only reviewed 2 full articles. But that was it was this was a grueling process. That's why it took us months. And of course, I couldn't do it in every language because I don't speak 6 languages. So I had to coordinate with my different reviewers in different languages. But it is pretty tedious work. I'm not going to lie.
And after all of that eye-numbing work, the results were this. They found 79 campaigns implemented in 9 countries between 1976 and 2018. In total, 181 celebrities endorsed these campaigns. And what she found was that there was a big black hole of information.
And what I found actually is that very few of these campaigns are being evaluated. And even those that are, the evaluation is pretty vague and doesn't actually show that the outcome of the campaign can be attributed to the celebrity. So we are in a situation where we don't actually know, like maybe it would be more helpful to use different messengers depending on what products you're talking about. Like maybe celebrities are not the most effective. There could be someone who's better, or maybe celebrities are having no impact at all. But unless we evaluate this, we won't know if they're effective or not.
Because it does kind of seem like a marketing no-brainer that you would get a big name and attach it to a project or a campaign, and obviously it would get attention. Is there any indication that it actually works and changes people's behavior?
Why we really need to be evaluating the campaigns is it is a messenger, of course, but it's also the message itself. Because if the message is not that prevalent, if it's only like a certain group of people who are consuming it, who are consuming pangolin products, and it's not that well known of a behavior in the population, having messages everywhere that say, oh, stop consuming pangolins, people are eating pangolins. Some people who didn't know about this, they might be like, oh, I didn't realize that I could go and buy a pangolin. I'm going to give that a try. It could accidentally advertise for the behavior that people are actually trying to convince people not to do. So we really need to be careful because there might be adverse effects that are actually even worse for the species we're trying to conserve.
And so Allie's got an idea. She wants to do a fully open and transparent celebrity endorsement study. One that shows what worked, what didn't work, and whether it actually had any impact on saving the pangolins.
In the last 2 years, I worked with a local Vietnamese NGO called Save Vietnam's Wildlife. Together, we have collected data to estimate the prevalence of consumption of pangolin products in Ho Chi Minh City. And then we followed this up with more in-depth research to understand the consumption of pangolin meat. And then through this social research, we identified 5 celebrities using the same principles as that they do in marketing and the same models. So 5 celebrities that could resonate with our target audience. And then later this year, I'll be conducting focus groups to understand which of these 5 celebrities could be effective in influencing my target audience behavior. So I think the only way to fill in these gaps is to actually conduct the research and test what has already been learned from other fields, applied to conservation, applied to a case study. And then once you have the information at the end, whether it worked or not and what steps you followed, you have to disseminate it and make it available for people, for NGOs, for other researchers, so everyone can use those findings and build on top of that.
Okay, so you've got your top 5 of who you think would be good. What are the qualities or characteristics that would make them a good campaigner to save the pangolins?
First of all, that they are credible, and that means that they are trustworthy, so people believe in what they say, and that they have expertise in the topic. So in this case, it would be someone who fits the image of someone who consumes wild meat, because if there's someone completely different, then it would never be believable that they know anything about the topic or that their opinion should matter.
So Brad Pitt is out.
Yeah, Brad Pitt is out. Yeah, exactly. So that was actually the problem. There was a campaign with, Prince William talking about rhino horn in Vietnam. But it's would Prince William ever be in a situation where he's offered rhino horn? Probably not. Like, he hasn't grown up in a culture and a tradition where rhino horn would ever be a medicine that's there, or, a luxury product that he was considering buying. Never. So there's that massive disconnect. Then that the celebrity is someone who's obviously well known by the target audience that they're familiar with. There's still an aspirational component where the celebrity is someone whose behavior the target audience wants to emulate their behavior.
This way, Allie can finally have some clues as to whether or not a celebrity name actually makes a difference when you're trying to save a little guy like a pangolin. So we don't know if Jackie Chan has actually saved any pangolins.
We do not know. No, sadly, no, we don't know.
This podcast was brought to you by Oxford Sparks from the University of Oxford, with music by John Lyons. And a special thanks to Ale Omido. And stay tuned to see who her big celebrity spokesperson will be. Dun, dun, dun. And if you like this podcast, tell a buddy, tell a friend, tweet us at Oxford Sparks, or find us on Facebook, Instagram, or any social media channel. We've got a lot of cool stuff. And we have a website, oxfordsparks.ox.ac.uk. I'm Emily Elias. Bye for now.